Good morning, students. We are in fourth unit, last topic. Actually, we should completed yesterday, but due to heavy topics in engineering properties of rocks, that's why last class extended to this class. So anyway, today we will complete fourth unit. Okay, guys. Now engineering properties of rocks and part two. Guys, yesterday we stopped. Actually, just I want to remind what we studied yesterday. Guys, here regarding these engineering properties of rocks, we studied objectives and introduction and the physical properties of rocks regarding this crushing strength and transverse strength, shear strength, tensile strength, and porosity, absorption value, permeability, density, dry density, bulk density, and saturated density, abrasive resistance, and frost and fire resistance. Methods of determining and rock properties regarding this in situ field testing and laboratory testing of rocks and back analysis based on site performance data. In yesterday up to we back analysis based on site performance data, up to this we studied. Now we are coming into the geological characteristics of rocks regarding this mineralogical composition. So geological characteristics of rocks, that is the heading. The mineralogical composition is the one of the subheading this. So what we studied mineralogical composition, rocks are made up of smaller units of the minerals. So already we studied the definition of rock means combination of different minerals is called a rock. So as the same thing here, rocks are made up of smaller units of the minerals. So here definitions are very clear. So what is the, if anybody asks us what is the rocks, simply we can give the answer. Rocks are made up of smaller units of the minerals. Their properties depending upon the nature and composition of these minerals. Yes, the nature and composition of the minerals is the important. So the properties depending upon the nature and composition of these minerals. It has been observed that rocks composed chiefly of silica, SiO2, especially in free form, are though the strongest in all respects from form are the strongest in all respects. Quartzites are the strongest in all respects. Fresh quartzite, sandstone, and granite are some of the examples. So here, simply what he says, the rock means the rocks are made up of the small units of the minerals, and their properties are depending upon the nature and composition of these minerals. And it has been observed that rocks are composed chiefly of silica, especially in free form. So silica is a chemical form where SiO2, it is nothing but a silicon dioxide. So actually, if we observe in many rocks, easily we can identify the most of the chemical composition is SiO2, and this is also very highest. This is also very highest and tough mineral. So that's why he says that it has been observed that the rocks composed chiefly of silica, especially in free form, are the strongest in all respects. Quartzite are the strongest. So quartzite, not quartzite, guys. Quartzite. Quartzite means it is a metamorphic rocks. For example, from igneous or metamorphic or sedimentary, from these type of rocks, sedimentary rocks are formed from these types. For example, sandstone has formed from the, actually sandstone is a sedimentary rock, but after some chemical properties and physical properties. If sandstone changes into the metamorphic rock, then sandstone changes into the quartzite. So that quartzite also the heavy mineral composition is SiO2. So the quartzite is the strongest in all respect. Fresh quartzite, sandstone, and granite are some of the examples. Carbonate rocks show a wide variation in their properties. Uh, Carbonate rocks is nothing but the sedimentary rocks, and carbonate rocks show a wide variation in their properties. A particular deposit of these rocks has to be tested by taking random representative samples before the stone is recommended for use in engineering construction of any importance. Yes, guys, absolutely, it's true. Carbonate rocks show a wide variation in their properties. So a particular deposit of these rocks has to be tested by taking random representative samples before the stone is recommended for using in engineering constructions of in any importance. Guys, this point is important in civil engineering point of view. What we have to understood means, for example, if you want to build up a dam, a reservoir, a construction, most of the civil engineers is looking for the surrounding areas for the construction material. In that situation, if granite or some stones is available, it's not a problem. For example, sandstones or tough rocks not available. In some places, only carbonate rocks are available. At that time we need to follow the geologist's suggestions, because carbonate rocks have exposure to the geological agents is very high. So if we want to take the carbonate rocks, definitely we need to take recommendations, and the laboratory testings also is the important. Now so carbonate rocks show a wide variation in their properties. A particular deposit of these rocks has to be tested by taking a particular deposit of these rocks has to be tested by taking a random representative samples before the stone is recommended for use in engineering construction of any importance. Then presence of some minerals, even in small quantities, is to be viewed with caution while using in building stones. These minerals are mica, gypsum, sulfides, tourmalite, flint, and chalk and clays. These destroy the inherent strength of the rocks. Here, the point is presence of some minerals, even in small quantities, to be viewed with the caution. For example, already we says that according to the definition of the rocks, the rock is combination of the some minerals. For example, in some minerals means some minerals available in a very low quantity also, we have to take care about that, because for here give some examples, the minerals like mica, gypsum, sulfides, tourmalite, flint, and chalk and clays. These destroyed the inherent strength of the rock. So that's why if we before using construction material, thoroughly we have to the study the minerals also in that rock, because these for example, what he says here, some minerals is there, these minerals definitely destroy the inherent strength of the rock. That's why we have to take care. Minerals also very important to construct that some constructions. And the texture and the structure. So texture defines the size, shape, and the mutual relationship of mineral compounds in rocks, whereas structure determines the development of large-scale features in the rock masses as a whole. Rocks may be coarse-grained, medium-grained, or fine-grained. The fine-grained, equigranular textured rocks are better building stones compared to coarse-grained and inequigranular rocks. In the latter cases, different components often tend to behave as separate units under the imposed loads, and thereby reaction offered is of a complexes and certainly weaker character. Structurally speaking, features like bedding planes, foliation, cleavage, joints, and flow structures, which might not be fully represented in small sized test specimens, but which may be present in rock masses on a large scale, have to be given due considerations. This is the texture and the structure. This is the so in geological characteristics of rocks, mineralogical composition is the important, and the texture and the structure are the important. So guys, here I will explain texture and structure. Guys, here again I will explain. Texture defines texture means what defines the size, shape, and the mutual relationship of the mineral components in rocks. Already we know many type of minerals available in a single rock. That's why here we have to observe the texture. Texture means what? Size and shape. So if anybody asks you a question, what is the texture in the rock means, we have to always tell size and shape of minerals is called the texture. Simply, what is the texture, guys? Size and the shape and the mutual relationship of the mineral components. What is the size of mineral and what is the shape of the mineral and what is the mutual relationship of the mineral components in a rock is called the texture. So blindly, the definition of texture, what is the definition of texture? Texture defines the size and shape of the mineral, the size and shape, the size, shape, and the mutual relationship of the mineral compounds is in a rock is called a texture. Whereas structure determines the development of large-scale features in the rock masses as a whole. Rocks may be coarse-grained, medium-grained, and fine-grained. Guys, structure means we have to, is it coarse-grained or medium-grained or fine-grained? We have to tell that. And texture means a size, shape, and mutual relationship of the mineral components in a rock. We have to tell that. Next, guys, the fine-grained equigranular textured, the fine-grained equigranular textured rocks are better building stones compared to coarse-grained and inequigranular rocks. So finally, the fine-grained equigranular textured rocks are better building stones. So it's very clear. Here, fine grained structures means what we have to select the construction material, the fine grained equigranular textured rocks. The fine grained equigranular textured rocks are better building stones compared to coarse grained and inequigranular rocks. In the latter cases, different components often tend to behave as separate. In the latter cases, different compounds often tend to behave as separate units under the imposed loads, and thereby reaction offered is of a complex and certainly weaker character. Okay, guys. So structurally speaking, features like a bedding planes is the structural feature, foliation is the structural feature, cleavage is the structural feature, joints and the flow structures, which might not be fully represented in small sized test specimens, but which may be present in rock masses on a large scale, have to be given due considerations. Next, guys, resistance to weathering is called durability. Guys, resistance to weathering is called durability. So finally, durability is the important. So resistance to the weathering or durability are the same words. It is essentially a geological character of a stone that is commonly determined by its composition. As texture and the structure, on the one hand, the climate environment where the stone is ultimately used on the other hand. Guys, here it is essentially a geological character of a stone that is commonly determined by its composition, texture, and the structure on the one hand to the climate environment. Here, guys, so if we want to take high durability rocks, what we have to see? Three things we have to see. The first one is just the chemical composition of the rock, the composition of the rock. So first we have to show the composition of the rock, a structure and a texture. So that is the, so if anybody asks you guys, resist to the weathering or durability, how can you determine the durability? So the important thing is the composition of the material or composition of the rock, and the composition of the rock, texture of the rock, and the structure of the rock. And on the hand, on the climate environment where the stones is ultimately used on other hand. And guys, a stone may be so the above sentence we have to understand simply three things. If we want to take high durability, we need to check the composition of the rock, structure of the rock, and the texture of the rock. Now the strong, a stone a stone may remain almost fresh and un guys, a stone may remain almost fresh and un and untarnished for 500 years or more when used in the interior of a building, but the same stone used on the exterior might get pitted and weathered badly within 100 years. So guys, here what he says, a stone may remain almost fresh and untarnished for 500 years or more when used in the interior of a building, but the same stone used on the exterior might get pitted and weathered badly within 100 years. 100 years. Good example is granite. Similarly, limestone used in building construction. In industrial townships may weather badly. In townships may weather badly and quickly due to reaction with sulfurous acid polluted air, whereas the same rock used only a little amount in temples and ports and historical buildings may last for centuries. An engineer and especially at a town planner has to bear in mind this fact that rocks also live and sensitive to the environment in which they are placed. Durability of a stone can be durability of a stone can be experimentally determined by subjecting the stone sample to disintegrating action of sodium sulfate. Test specimens generally of 5 centimeter side cubes are dried perfectly and weighted. They are suspended in 14% of sodium sulfate for 4 hours at 27 degrees Celsius, and then air dried and oven dried at 105 degrees Celsius. The stone samples are subjected to 30 such cycles and lots of weight determined, which gives a measure of the durability of the rock. Greater the loss in weight, after these cycles, poorer is the durability of the stone. Guys, here I will tell you, I will explain againly, because determination of the durability of the stones is the important in the view of the civil engineer. That's why clearly point wise point I will explain. Here guys, what he says, just you observe my cursor. Durability of a stone can be experimentally determined by subjecting the stone sample to disintegrating action of sodium sulfate. Guys, the first point, durability of a stone can be experimentally determined by subjecting the stone sample to disintegrating action of sodium sulfate. So guys, if we want to test a rock, first we have to take the sample. That sample we have to disintegrate with the action of the sodium sulfate. So again I will tell you guys, this is the most important. If you want to find out durability of any stone or any rock, what we have to do, first we have to the sample, and that sample to be disintegrating action of the sodium sulfate. So we have to take the sample, just we have to reaction with the sodium sulfate action. So it will definitely it will disintegrate, but we have to, the next procedure is test specimens generally of 5 centimeter side cubes. So guys, test specimens generally we have to take what is the measurements 5 centimeter side cubes and are dried perfectly unweighted. So guys, what we say first, we have to take the specimen. Generally, the size is the 5 centimeter side cube, and we have to dry it perfectly and weighted. Then they are suspended in 14% solution of sodium sulfate. 14% of sodium sulfate for 4 hours at 27 degrees Celsius, and then air dried and oven dried at 105 degrees Celsius. Guys, what he says, first we have to take the sample. The size is the 5 centimeter side cubes, and then we have to dry it up, and weighted also we have to do. Then they are suspended in what 14% of, so 14% of solution of sodium sulfate for 4 hours at 27 degrees Celsius, and then air dried and oven dried a Celsius, and then air dried and oven dried at 105 degrees Celsius. The stone samples are subjected to 30 such cycles and lots of here, guys. So up to here is very clear. First, we have to take the sample. The size is 5 centimeter side cube, and then dried perfectly and weighted. And then we have to suspend it in 14% of the solution of sodium sulfate, 40% of solution of sodium sulfate for 4 hours, at 27 degrees Celsius, and then air dried and oven dried at 105 degrees Celsius. The stone samples are subjected to 30 such cycles and lots of weight determined. 30 such cycles subjected to and lots of weight determined, which gives a measure of the durability of the rock. Greater loss in weight after these cycles pour is the durability of the stone. If it's not lost the weight, that is the good stone. Then next, general characteristics of rocks. In addition to these engineering and geological properties of rocks, there are certain other characteristics that may add value or otherwise to them. They are cost and color. Here guys, cost. It is an important consideration. Similar to engineering properties or geological character, a stone may be quite suitable for use in building construction on first two considerations, but still it may not find use for the simple reason that it is uh, uneconomical. Cost of a building stone depends upon its availability, accessibility, and workability. Good quality building stones are not available elsewhere. Their transport from one place to another might be a very costly affair. The workability of a stone is understood, the essay in effort on economy with which it can be extracted from its place of occurrences and dressed to the desired dimensions and shapes. Harder and stronger rocks become costly, costlier in these accounts. And color. Color is the property of appears and gets involved only where the stone is used in construction exposed to public view. For stones to be used in foundations is dams or in situations where they are ultimately to be given covering. Color of a rock has no relevance in its selection. In the case of residential or official building, it becomes a property of major importance. The color of a rock is a geological character depending upon the type of rock and more precisely upon the composition of rock. Example, granites are light colored, Basalt are dark, and sandstones are lighter lighter shades. Modules properties are flexible strength or elastic properties of rocks. The elasticity of rocks indicates their deformation under loads. The deformation is recovered when loads are removed. It is determined in accordance with Hooke's law, which states that in elastic substances, stress is directly proportional to strain. It is expressed by the relationship Q by E is equal to E, where Q is equal to stress, E is equal to strain, E is equal to modulus of elasticity. It is also termed as Young's modulus. It is tested for rocks by loading test specimens, usually a cylinder of L by D ratio 2 under uniaxial compression and sometimes tension. The axial deformation, that is change in parallel to stress direction, is determined at the application of each increment of load using strain gauges. This process of loading and determining the strain is continued till the specimen actually breaks. That is the ultimate limit up to which the specimen could be deformed. The limit up to which it remains elastic, that is recovers the original shape when the load is removed is reached slightly earlier. Rocks are highly anisotrophic so far as their elastic constants are concerned. They show all varieties ranging from perfectly elastic to practically inelastic. This depends on their composition, texture, and structures. It is possible to broadly group the rocks into three categories based on their modules of elasticity and cusic elastic. These are rocks in which the stress strain relationship is expressed by almost a straight line till the point of failure. Such rocks include massive and densely packed, uniformly structured varieties of igneous sedimentary and metamorphic groups such as syenite, diorite, dolerites, gabbros, basalts, and quartzites. Quasi-elastic rocks show E values ranging from 6 into 10 to the power of 5 into 5 to 11 into 10 to the power of 5 kg per centimeter square. Semi-elastic rocks are coarse grained, slightly open packed with some porosity and very minor in any structure discontinuities. The semi-elastic rocks show E value range between 4 into 10 to the power of 5 to 6 into 10 to the power of 5 kg per centimeter square. Coarse grained igneous rocks like granites, some massive compact sediments like sandstones and dolomite may often show semi-elastic properties. In this group, the curve indicating the modules of elasticity, such a characteristic that is slope tends to decrease with increasing loads. Non-elastic rocks. Non-elastic rocks are those in which stress-strain relationship tends to break in two zones. A initial zone of steep slope followed by a curve of least slope. These are open textured, coarse grained, and rich in structural discontinuities. Values of E obtained with such rocks are commonly of the order of less than 4 into 10 to the power of 5 kg per centimeter square. Important building stones. Any type of rock that satisfies the above considerations may be used as a building stone. Granites, sandstones, limestones, marbles, and quartzites, and others. Like dolerites, cyanides, basalts, and gneisses, etc., are some of them are not available because they do not pass all the requisite properties. Let us see one by one. Granites. These are the most commonly used building stones of all the igneous rocks. They generally possess all the essential qualities of a good building stone, showing very high crushing strength, low absorption values, least porosity, interlocking texture, variety of appealing colors, and susceptibility to perfect polish. Indian occurrence. India has got good reserves of granite and granitic rocks. The Archean group of rocks of peninsular India are comprised chiefly of gneiss and granite, sandstone, massive sandstones consisting of closely interlocking and granular grains and free from structural defects, find extensive use of building stones. Ferruginous and calcareous varieties should not be used for exterior work, especially in industrial towns. Argillaceous sandstones are generally weak in character. Massive varieties with siliceous cement possess sufficient strength or essentially workable. In a guys here, Indian occurrence. India has got immense resources of sandstones fit for construction purposes. The most important supplies come from two important stratigraphical systems, namely the Vindhyan and Gondwana system. Vindhyan sandstones are fine-grained in texture and available in abundance in a variety of colors like white, cream, and deep red and gray etc. They are easily quarried and economically workable. These stones are available in a large area of the country for over 3,50,000 square kilometers extending from Bihar to Aravallis. Many buildings of Delhi and Agra are built of these stones. No other rock formation of India possesses such as assemblages of the characteristics rendering it so eminently suitable for building or architectural work. The Gondwana formations of India have also yield very good quality of sandstone. The fine-grained sandstone of Cuttack known as the Agra sandstone have been used most widely and famous temples of Jagannath Puri and built of them. And limestones, guys, these sedimentary rocks are very extensive, used as a building stones. It is not due to their physical properties. It is due to the crushing strength. They may be weak, showing values much below 300 kg per centimeter square, are as strong as 1500 kg per centimeter square, or even more. A similar variation in other property like absorption, specific gravity, and porosity may be observed. The uses of limestone as facing stones, even if they are sufficiently hot, should be avoided in situations where the air is polluted with industrial gases. The air from sea can approach them easily. The reason for the first precaution is that sulfuric acid vapors contained in the industrial gases react with calcium carbonate of limestone, producing gypsum calcium sulfate crystals. This change involves an increase in the volume and results in disintegration of the surface layer of the rock. Salt crystals may be formed from moisture from sea and cause damages. The distinction of the stone. Indian occurrence. Limestone occur in many geological formations of this country. The Kadapa system outcropping in Andhra, Chennai, Delhi, and Chhattisgarh. The Beswar, Condlite, and Aravalli groups. The Vindhyan system of Madhya Pradesh. The hill limestone exposed to many places in northern India. And marbles. These are metamorphic rocks that are used for ordinary structural work as well as for decorative purposes. Marbles are varying in their texture, color, and composition. Their absorption value is generally below 1%, and normally they possess sufficient crushing strength. They have been extensively used as decorative stones, and this is because of their susceptibility to brilliant polish and beautiful colors. Indian occurrence most important source of chromatic marbles in the crystalline formations of Rajasthan, Makarana in Jodhpur, white and pink, Karwa in Ajmer, green and yellow, and uh, Krishnagiri, Krishnagara and Jaipur, famous for black and dense marbles. Here guys, slate. It is another metamorphic rock characterized by a perfect cleavage, and because of this property, it does not find any use in building stone except for paving roofing purposes. So guys, it is well-known fact that rocks play a vital role in constructing the structure which are distinguished to disdain to disdain to strong, appealing, and economical. All the factors which have been considered so far give a clear guidelines for an engineer to choose the right type of naturally occurring rocks or stones to be used to build such structures. By choosing all the properties judicially in conjunction with one another, it is possible to adhere to the safety regulations prescribed in building sandstones. A combination of laboratory testing of small samples, empirical analysis, and field observation should be employed to determine the requisite engineering properties. Engineering properties of rocks are very essential properties to be determined in every project of the civil engineering, construction engineering, and structural engineering. Okay, thank you guys. Now we completed 4th unit.